이제 12월 제가 언제 며칠 3주 전부터구나. 3주 전부터 제가 매주 일요일 새벽 6시에서 7시 제가 세라즈 리딩 앤 프레어 미팅을 시작했습니다. 원하시는 분들 무료로 참여하실 수 있고요. 영어 성경을 이제 일주일에 새 챕터를 계속 같은 걸 반복해서 읽는 거예요. 같은 걸 반복해서 읽는 거 좋은 이유 아시죠? 그렇게 읽고 그 다음에 일요일 날 새벽 6시에서 7시 제가 토요일 날 하던 독서 모임 대신에 이제 독서와 기도 모임을 같이 하는 걸로 해서 우리 청소년들을 위해서 기도하기 시작했습니다. 그래서 영어 성경 읽으면서 이제 한 20분 이상 걸릴 텐데 이제 이왕이면 스쿼트를 같이 하면서 이제 할 수 있으면 이렇게 와이드 스쿼트와 리프팅을 같이 하시면서 하시면 이제 운동과 이제 그 영어 공부를 같이 하시는 그런 좋은 효과가 있습니다. 여러분 한번 해보세요. 자, Matthew chapter 7. Don't judge, or you will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged. You will be judged, and with the measure you use, you will be measured to you. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to 이게 지금 공유가 안 됐나 본데요? 다시 해야 되겠다. 잠깐만요. 지금 줌을 하고 있고요. 공유해서 화면 공유. 네. 처음부터 다시 해야 될 것 같아요. 다시 읽겠습니다. 자, Matthew chapter 7. 오늘 제가 아침 영어 성경 낭독 그리고 원서 읽기를 영어 원서로 이제 영어 성경으로 하고 있습니다. NIV 성경 Matthew chapter 7입니다. Judge others. Don't judge. Do not judge, or you will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged. And with the same measure you use, you will be measured to you. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when all the time there is a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite! First take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will be clearly to remove the speck from other brother's eye. Do not give dogs what is sacred. Do not throw your pearls to the pigs. If you do, they may trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces. Ask, seek, knock. Ask, and it'll be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives. The one who seeks finds, and to one who knocks, the door will be opened. 여러분 지금 제가 영어 원서 읽기 하면서 아령들고 이제 와이드 리프팅 그다음에 와이드 스쿼팅 같이 하고 있습니다. 자, clearly remove to remove the speck from your brother's eye. Do not give dogs. 이거 했구나. 했나요? Do not give dogs what is sacred. Do not throw your pearls to pigs. If you do, they may trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces. Ask, seek, knock. Ask and it'll be given to you. 너무 좋죠. 자, 구하라 그러면 받을 것이요. Seek and you will find. 찾으라 그러면 찾을 것이요. Knock and the door will be open to you. 두드려라 그러면 너에게 열릴 것이다. 오늘 송송 코치님 제가 책 읽었는데 안 하면 확률이 제로이지만 내가 했으면 결정은 상대방이 하는 거니까 확률이 50%에서 25%까지 올라가는 거라고 그 말씀 정말 동감 갑니다. So for everyone who asks receives, the one who seeks finds, and to the one who knocks, the door will be opened. Which of you, if your son asks for bread, will give him a stone, or if he asks for a fish, you will give him a snake? If you then, though you are evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father in heaven give good gifts to those who ask him. 아멘. 하늘에 계신 우리 아버지가 우리에게 돌보다 또 뱀보다 더 좋은 것을 주지 않겠느냐. 육신의 아버지도 우리에게 좋은 것을 주기 원한다. 정말 감사하죠. 자, 우리가 받지 못하는 것은 기도하지 않고 구하지 않고 찾지 않기 때문인 것을 알 수 있습니다. So in everything you do to others what you would have them do to you. For this sums up the law, the prophets. Okay. The narrow and the wide gate. Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road ends to the destruction, and many enters through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few finds it. True and false prophets. Watch out for false prophets. They come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ferocious wolves. By their fruit you will recognize them. Do people pick grapes from thorn bushes or fig from thistles? Likewise, every good tree bears good fruit, but a bad fruit bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Thus, by their fruit you will recognize them. 자, 힘들게 다시 앞으로 쉬면서 합니다. True and false disciples. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. Many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and in your name drive out demons, and in your name perform many miracles? Then I will them plainly, I never knew you. Away from me, you evildoers. The wise and foolish builders. Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine puts them into practice is like a wise man who built in his house of the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house. Yet it did not fall, because it had its foundation on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash. When Jesus had finished saying these things, the crowds were amazed at his teaching, because he taught as the one who had authority, and not as their teachers of the law. 자, 시간이 많이 걸리네요. 그래도 해봐야죠. 몇 분 걸리나 봐야겠다. 자, Matthew chapter 8. Jesus heals the man with leprosy. When Jesus came down from the mountainside, large crowd followed him. A man with leprosy came and knelt before him and said, Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean. Jesus reached out his hand and touched the man. I am willing, he said, be clean. Immediately he was cleansed with his leprosy. When Jesus said to him, see that you don't tell anyone, but go, show yourself to the priest and offer the gift Moses commanded as a testimony to them. 자, the face of the centurion. When Jesus had entered Capernaum, a centurion came to him, asking for help. Lord, he said, my servant lies at home paralyzed, suffering terribly. Jesus said to him, shall I come and heal him? The centurion replied, Lord, I do not deserve to have you come under my roof, but just say the word, and my servant will be healed. For myself, am a man under authority, with soldiers under me. I tell this one, go, and he goes, and that one, come, and he comes. I say to my servant, do this, and he does it. When Jesus heard this, he was amazed and said to those following him, "Truly, I tell you, I have not found anyone in Israel with such great faith. I say to you that many will come from the east and the west, and will take their places at the feast with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. But the subject of the kingdom will be thrown outside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and the gnashing of teeth." Then Jesus to the centurion, "Go, let it be done just as you believed it would." And his servant was healed at the moment. Amen. Jesus heals many. When Jesus came into Peter's house, he saw Peter's mother-in-law lying in the bed with a fever. He touched her, and the fever left her. She got up and began to wait on him. When evening came, many who were demon-possessed were brought to him, and he drove out the spirits with a word and healed all the sick. This was to fulfill what was spoken through the prophet Isaiah. He took up our infirmities and bore our diseases. When Jesus saw the crowd around him, he gave orders to cross the other side of the lake. Then a teacher of the law came into him and said, "Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go." Jesus replied, "Foxes have dens and birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head. Another disciple said to him, "Lord, first let me go and bury my father." But Jesus told him, "Follow me, and let the dead bury their own dead." Then he got into the boat, and his disciples followed him. Suddenly a furious storm came up on the lake, so that the waves swept over the boat. But Jesus was sleeping. The disciples, when he woke him, saying, "Lord, save us, we are going to drown." He replied, "You of little faith, why are you so afraid?" When he got up and rebuked the winds and the waves, and it was completely calm, then the men were amazed and asked, What kind of man is this? Even the winds and the waves obey him." Jesus restores 2 demon-possessed men. When he arrived at the other side of the region of the gardens, 2 demon-possessed men coming from the tomb and met him. They were so violent that no one could pass the way. What do you want with the Son of God?" they shouted. "Have you come here to torture us before the appointed time?" The distance from them, a large herd of pigs was feeding. The demons begged him, "Jesus, if you drive us out, send us into the herd of pigs." He said to them, "Go." So they came out and went into the pigs, and the whole herd rushed down the steep bank into the lake and died in the water. Those tending the pigs ran off, went into the town and reported all this, including what had happened to the demon-possessed man. Then the whole town went out to meet Jesus, and when they saw him, they pleaded with him to leave the region. 자, 매튜 챕터 9. 자, 9장까지 한 3개 읽으면 20분 걸리는 것 같으네요. 자, Jesus stepped into a boat, crossed over, and came to his own town. Some men brought to him a paralyzed man lying on a mat. When Jesus saw their face, said to men, "Take heart, son, your sins are forgiven." At this, some of the teachers of the law said to themselves, "This fellow is blaspheming." Knowing their thoughts, Jesus said, "Why do you entertain evil thoughts in your hearts? Which is easier to say that your sins are forgiven, or to say, get up and walk? But I want you to know the Son of Man has authority on earth to give forgive sins. So he said to the paralyzed man, get up, take your mat, and go home. Then the man got up and went home. When the crowd saw this, they say they were filled with awe, and they praised God, who had given such authority to man. The challenge, calling the Matthew. As Jesus went on from here, he saw a man named Matthew sitting at the tax collector's booth. Follow me, he told him. And Matthew got up and followed him. While Jesus was having dinner at Matthew's house, many tax collectors and sinners came to eat with him and his disciples. When the Pharisees saw this, they asked his disciples, why does your teachers eat with tax collectors and sinners? On hearing this, Jesus said, it's not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. But go and learn what this means. I desire mercy, not sacrifices, for I have not come to call the righteous but sinners. When John's disciple came and asked him, how is it that we and Pharisees fast often, but your disciples do not fast? Jesus answered, how can the guests of the bridegroom mourn while he is with them? The time will come, and when the bridegroom will be taken from them, then they will fast. No one saw a patch of unshrunk cloth on old garment, for the patch will pull away from the garment, making the tear worse. Neither do people pour new wine into old wineskins. If they do, the skin will burst, the wine will run out, and the wineskins will be ruined. No, they pour new wine into new wineskins, and both are preserved. Jesus raised a dead girl and healed a sick woman. While he was saying this, a synagogue leader came and knelt before him and said, my daughter has just died, but come and put your hand on her, and she will live. Jesus got up and went with him, and so did his disciples. Just then, a woman who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years came up behind him and touched the edges of his cloak. And she said to herself, if I only touch his cloak, and I will be healed. Jesus turned and saw her. Take heart, daughter, he said, your faith has healed you. And the woman was healed at the moment. When Jesus entered the synagogue leaders of the house and saw the noise crowd and people saying playing pipes, he said, go away. The girl is not dead, but asleep. But they laughed at him. After a crowd had been put outside, he went in and took the girl by the hand, and she got up. News of this spread through all that region. As Jesus went on from there, two blind men followed him, calling out, have mercy on us, Son of David. When he had gone indoors, the blind man came to him and asked them, do you believe that I am able to do this? Yes, Lord, he replied. Then he touched their eyes and said, according to your faith, let it be done to you. Amen. And their sight was restored. Jesus warned them sternly, see that no one knows about this. But they went out and spread the news about all over the region. While they were going out, a man who was demon-possessed and could not talk was brought to Jesus. And when the demon was driven out, the man who had been mute spoke. The crowd was amazed and said, nothing like this has ever been seen in Israel. But the Pharisees said, it is by the prince of the demons of that he drives out demons. Jesus went through all the town and villages, teaching in their synagogues, proclaiming good news and of the kingdom, and healing every disease and sickness. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion on them, because they were harassed, and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are low. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest field." 자, 오늘 이렇게 읽었는데 20분 걸려요. 마태복음 챕터 7, 8, 9, 7, 8, 9장인데 한 20분 정도 걸렸네요. 자, 부족하지만 그래도 이렇게 아령들고 운동하면서 해서 영어 공부, 자, 운동, 근력 운동, 신앙 함께 잡았습니다.